everyone. Our video will be covering naturalism in 10 minutes or less. Here is a brief overview. What is naturalism? Key terms, history, the Genome Project, nature versus nurture, siblings edition, and religion's role. What is naturalism? Naturalism is the scientific way of looking at the world. This branch of determinism does not leave room for the spiritual. It cannot account for human freedom or the moral drive. It understands the material universe as a unified system. Humans are only part of this material world. Everything is connected through cause and effect. Freedom is nothing more than our genes at work.
Here are some key terms that accompany the topic of naturalism. Determinism, a point of view that holds that human behavior is a product not of free will, but a complex array of physical, social, cultural, psychological, and historical causes. Naturalism, the type of determinism that believes everything must be explained by science with concrete evidence. DNA, in simplest terms, it is the carrier of genetic information. Genome, the complete set of genes or genetic material present in a cell or organism.
The history behind it all. Naturalism was first coined in 1903 by G.E. Moore in his book Principia Ethica. It roots back to David Hume, who challenged the principle of causality, the principle that everything has a cause.
The Genome Project. Using scientific terminology, the Genome Project was a global, long-term research effort to A. Identify the estimated 30,000 genes comprising human DNA, and B. Figure out the sequences of the chemical bases that make up human DNA. But it is far too early in the morning for anyone to process this terminology. So in other words, the Genome Project was a mission to sequence all of a person's DNA. By mapping out the genome, it can become the blueprint of humanity. The human self is not one who intends, but rather is genetically pre-programmed. This essentially means the faults that are a result of our actions could be pointed to and are determined by our genetics.
Nature versus nurture. The nature versus nurture debate has existed since the Elizabethan period and traces back to medieval French. It involves whether human behavior is determined by the external environment, which alludes to social determinism, or by a person's genes, which alludes to naturalist determinism.
For this assignment's Part A component, I have chosen to produce a small reenactment of my own life. This is my sister and I. We are both genetically comprised of half our DNA from our father and half from our mother. Unless there's something they aren't telling us. Just kidding. But, even though we have the same nature, we have all been nurtured differently. In other words, our surroundings and circumstances have all been different growing up. For example, the fact that my eyes are brown and hers are blue cannot be truly influenced or changed by social factors as it's genetic. However, due to differing events in our lives that shaped our character, such as being affected by peer pressure or traumatic events, our personalities are far from the same. The behaviors we've learned are a product of what has happened to us via others and other things. Because she grew up listening to and enjoying jazz music, she is inclined to play the trumpet. However, because I went to science camp each year and had fun, I am more interested now in the field of medicine.
Jillian doing her bio as every day.
I'm not doing it, I'm studying it. It's a lifestyle.
The dictionary's definition of atheism is the disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. It can be argued that there are many overlapping similarities between atheism and naturalism, as both share the belief that only proven things exist, not the supernatural.
In a somewhat off-putting statistic from 2009 study in the Washington Post, it's revealed that 1 in 12 parents introduced their child or children into a religion without consideration of the child's wants, in an almost forceful manner. Through the lens of naturalism, is someone's religion already determined as a baby by their genetic makeup?
In our own personal school experiences, we have noticed the downplaying of monumental scientific historical events like the Big Bang Theory, which is the comprehensive explanation for the broad range of phenomena that created the earth we are living on.
Excuse me, you're misusing the word hoe.
To conclude, naturalism means our actions and choices are determined by our genetic code, something we have no control over. In our video, you hopefully enriched your knowledge of what naturalism is, some key terms surrounding it, origins and history, the infamous Genome Project, nature versus nurture discourse, and the role of religion. Thank you for listening. We will now be having a short reflection period, so listen up for the questions.